Hey there, Tracy here. Welcome to our KCC number 20 launch giveaway hop. Today on October 2nd, I hope that you will follow along and make sure to stick around to the end so that you can get your catchphrase so that you can enter to win a goodie bag worth $250. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump right into the video. And if you're not familiar with Kendra's card challenge, it's a challenge where you can make 15 cards with 6 sheets of 6x6 pattern paper. So today I am doing sketches 3 and sketches 4, and I've got all my paper already cut out, and I will have everything linked in the description box below. And don't forget, this is a hop, so we would love for you to hop along, and so you have many chances to win. There's a link down in the description box down below to the hop playlist. So I'm going to do a little stitching today, and I am going to actually do a little bit of that on camera. So looking at my sketch, I can see what I need to know, and what I need to know is like this gray part right here, any color you want. The white part, any color you want. The black part, any color you want. So just want to make that clear that these parts that are gray, black, or white are any color pattern paper, embossed paper, whatever you want. So you're concentrating on cutting. When you're doing your cutting, you're concentrating on cutting the papers A, B, C, D, E, and F, I think. So just wanted to make sure that that's clarified for anybody that if there's any confusion on what you're supposed to do with those pieces. So for instance, I chose a matte layer of craft. So the white is my craft. Okay, now moving right along. Let's get on with this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to tack these down in the center. So just a little glue down the middle, because I don't want any glue getting on my sewing needle. And then secondly, if you do glue them all the way down, let them dry at least 24 hours before you try and sew them. So that's why I just tack them down so they don't move, while I'm maneuvering this thing around on my sewing machine. So I'll just get all the parts put down as even as best of my ability with my eyesight. I love this paper. This is a brand new paper from Not Too Shabby Shop, and I will have everything that I use listed in the description below. And so I'm making one Christmas card, and I'm making one kind of masculine card. It doesn't have to be masculine, and this one, doesn't necessarily have to be Christmas either. It can just be winter. But I love this little cable knit sweater pattern. So I got to glue a little close to the edge for my taste. And then I will bring this over to my sewing machine, and I'll stitch down one of the pieces on camera just so you can see how I do it, just in case you've never stitched on paper before. I do use a heavy-duty needle, and this is a heavy-duty Singer sewing machine, and that's all I use it for is sewing paper. So I'm just getting my presser foot so that the center is in the center, stitching around, lift up my presser foot, turn the paper with my needle down. Notice I have my needle down when I turn my paper. And sometimes I have to adjust my paper. It just depends on how long your stitches are. And since all sewing machines are different, I am not going to give instructions on how to set up your sewing machine. And then I'm just going to backstitch there a little because I'll be trimming this off close. A lot of times when I do my grungy stuff, I leave them long. They're just fun. They're fun little extra point of interest. So I'll sew the rest off camera, and then we'll continue putting this card together. So I have that all sewed together. Now I want to stitch that onto something else. So I'm going to use my bone folder here and just kind of flatten down the threads best I can. And you could totally skip this step and just glue it down, but I'm going to stitch it down. And in this case, I'm going to have to wait for my glue to dry because I did put it all the way to the edge. Oh, you know what? I did not stitch that. Never mind. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. I did this a while ago. So there are some of my threads I cut off, and I'm just throwing them in a pile in the middle of the card. And then I think I'm going to pop up my sentiment a little bit just on some super low profile foam tape. It'll help hold down my little pieces of thread. But I don't like to waste my thread because it's not, I use upholstery thread when I'm sewing my cards because I just like a thick thread. You know, you do you. Maybe you just want a tiny accent of thread. But I use upholstery thread, and this is sort of an ecru color upholstery thread. So I'll go ahead and pull my backer off, and then I'll just stick that down, and that card is done. I'll add a sentiment later. I'm not sure what I want to put on there yet. But, so there is sketch number 3. Now let's do sketch number 4. And for this, I've cut papers from my stash. This is a paper that actually came in one of the kits that I got from Kendra. Now I've got this gold paper I felt was appropriate. And then I've got a bunch of masculine papers that came from a Brutus Monroe paper pack. So I'm going to use my Pear Blossom Press ruler here. And I'm just going to magnet it down. That way I can get these all even, sort of, and there's a 0 mark on there, and that's the point. I want to get that middle one at that 0 mark, and I'm going to flip this over because it's moving on me. And the only one I need to worry about is the very first one. Let's get this ruler down where I need it. So what I'm doing is I'm measuring so that I have the 0 right in the middle. And then again, I'll be stitching this, and I'll stitch this one off camera. I just want to set that so that the middle of that piece of paper is right at the 0 mark. And you can see it's a 1-inch piece of paper, so it comes to the 1-inch mark. And now I don't really need my ruler anymore because these don't sit flat down at the bottom. But listen, if you put them, I mean, the first thing I thought of when I saw this was books. If you put them all down at the bottom, it does look like a bunch of books in a bookshelf. So just an idea for you. So we'll get this one down, and I'm making sure it's straight by just leaving my T-ruler down with the magnet. Let's try not to drop glue on our project here. Sometimes these small pieces, my fingers don't want to handle them. And I can see something's not cut straight, but I am not going to stress because, as we always say, handmade, not Hallmark. So a lot of this I'm just eyeballing. So just having these sort of muted colors gives it that sort of masculine feel. Okay, I will stitch those off camera, and I'm just making sure that those two are even with each other. And now I've got these stitched down. Okay, this is the one that I did the second stitching on. So again, I'm flattening down my stitching on the back so that it just sticks on easier, although I will be using my sewing machine. So I'm just going to put some glue right in the center and then take it over to my sewing machine and stitch it down. So I like my cards to be extra a lot of the time. So, you know, if you're looking for clean and simple with me, no, I can't. I try. Listen, I try. So I've got that all stitched down, and now I'm going to go ahead and glue that to the back of my card base. And I'm just making sure that I have plenty of glue so that it sticks nicely. And I'm just using a white top folding landscape card base. I'm just getting it glued directly down. If there's any extra white edges, I'll trim them off. So here's another pile of thread of all the threads I cut off when I was sewing that piece together. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to throw them down. And then I'm going to grab my sentiment that I've made already. And let's just trim off any of these excess. And I have already put the foam tape on. So we'll just pull those backers off best I can. Sometimes they're hard for me to grab. My pinchers don't work like they used to, which is frustrating, and maybe you know exactly what I'm talking about. They just don't want to pinch the way they did back in the day. Okay, don't stick to my finger. Okay, let's see if I can get this last one off. Okay, whew, got him. Now I'm gonna, oops, do not drop that in your, oh my gosh. All right, a little extra glue here. And I'm gonna place it where I want it. And I'm going to set it down. And then I'm gonna put something heavy on it so it has a time to adhere. And yeah, we've got a mess of a nest on there, but I love it. So now I have this Irresistible Pico Embellisher, and this is a bronze color. It doesn't show up as bronze until it dries, so it's going to look black, but never fear, it goes bronze. And I do make a mess with it because I'm not paying attention, and that's the one thing you need to think about when you're doing threads. So anyway, since this is a giveaway hop, I did want to make sure that before I ended this video, I remembered to tell you your passphrase. So what you're going to do is you're going to click that link for the entry form in the description box down below, and you are going to enter the passphrase Whimsy Stamps. They are one of our sponsors, and definitely do that on each one of the hop videos. And so here I'm trying to strategically get this between the threads. Don't forget, Whimsy Stamps, hop along, all the things. The hop playlist is listed down below. And I'm so excited for KCC 20, and I can't wait to see what everyone makes. I'm doing quite a few of these on here, and they'll look like, I don't know, like brads or something once they dry. So there are the two cards, and then at the end of the video, I'll show you the still images. So sketch number 3. And sketch number 4. Try and be careful not to smush my little my little embellishments there. Well, listen, thank you so much for hopping along with us and liking my video, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you do subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified every time I upload a new video. And here are the still pictures of my cards. I hope you have a fabulous day. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.